war film that opens with a bombing run gone wrong, then kills off its most charismatic pilot in the first act. That's Flight of the Intruder. Audiences didn't know what to make of it. Critics were baffled. Yet, decades later, it's a cult favorite. Why? Because it refuses to be a conventional action movie. It's a paradox, a spectacle that thrives on restraint, a war epic that's more about moral weight than explosions. We're about to dismantle this forgotten gem, piece by piece, unearthing why it failed in 1991 and why it demands a second look today. And trust me, there's a secret buried in its production history that even hardcore fans might have missed. John Milius. The name alone conjures images of cigar smoking, surf riding, flag-waving machismo. He wrote Apocalypse Now and directed Conan the Barbarian, but for Flight of the Intruder, he went for stark realism, almost documentary-like. He insisted on shooting aboard a real aircraft carrier, the USS Independence. No green screens, no miniatures, 4,500 sailors surrounded the cast, adding a raw authenticity. But here's the tease. Milius had a secret weapon in the editing room, a connection to the real-world Top Gun program that would change the film's finale. We'll get to that. His style here is blunt, functional, and brutally honest, a far cry from his usual bombast. Genre-wise, this is a subversion. It's not a buddy movie, though it has two leads. It's not a pure action film, though it has amazing flight sequences. It's a character study wrapped in a war movie. The narrative structure deliberately kills off the charismatic pilot, played by Willem Dafoe, early. That sets up a somber, introspective journey for Brad Johnson's character. There's no clear villain. The enemy is abstract. The war itself, the bureaucracy, the rules of engagement, it deliberately strips away the heroic tropes. You expect a Mission Impossible-style raid at the end, and you get something more troubling. An unauthorized attack that succeeds but leaves a moral stain. That's the twist. Victory, but at what cost? Visually, the film is a study in contrast. The carrier deck scenes are bathed in harsh, cold daylight, emphasizing metal and sweat. The flight sequences are shot with claustrophobic intensity, often from inside the cockpit, making you feel the G-forces. Color palette, muted greens and grays. With the occasional flash of orange fire, Milius avoided the glossy look of Top Gun. Instead, he and cinematographer Fred J. Konekamp used a desaturated look, almost paramilitary. The lighting in the jungle scenes is oppressive, dappled, and dark. It's not pretty. It's functional. It puts you in the grime. The camera often lingers on the aviators' faces, not the explosions. That's a bold choice, and it speaks volumes. What is Flight of the Intruder really about? It's not about the Vietnam War as a historical event. It's about guilt, responsibility, and the passage from innocence to experience. The protagonist, Jake Grafton, is haunted by his bombardier's death early on. His mission is not revenge, but salvation. He believes that striking a forbidden target in Hanoi will erase his guilt, but the film shows that such an act only deepens the moral quagmire. It's a meditation on the futility of using violence to cleanse your soul. Milius, known for his hawkish politics, actually presents a nuanced critique. War is a test, not a solution. The subtext is about the American loss of innocence in Vietnam, and how the intruder is not just a plane, but the trauma you carry. Now the Easter eggs, 3 behind-the-scenes facts that will blow your mind. 1. The actual A-6 Intruder aircraft used in the film was a real Korean War-era plane, still operational, and the pilots were actual Navy pilots, not actors. Some of them had flown combat missions in Vietnam. That authenticity is palpable. 2. There's a scene where Willem Dafoe's character talks about a MiG killer. That's a reference to a real Navy pilot, Randy Duke Cunningham, who was a top ace. 3. The most stunning. Milius secretly hired a former CIA pilot to choreograph the final bombing run, ensuring it was tactically accurate. That pilot later revealed that the mission was actually executed during the war, but with a different target. That's classified, but it's out there. Box office, it bombed hard. $35 million budget made just over $14 million domestically. Critics slammed it for being slow, old-fashioned. But then, home video and cable TV resurrected it. It became a favorite among military enthusiasts and Vietnam veterans, who praised its accuracy. That's Paradox, a commercial failure that morphed into a beloved cult classic. It never got a sequel, but it influenced a generation of aviators. In fact, the Navy used it in training briefings because it got the procedures right. It's not a blockbuster, but it's a film that mattered more after its release than during. That's a rare reverse evolution. Cast, Brad Johnson is no Tom Cruise, but that's the point. He's everyman, brooding, and understated. But Willem Dafoe steals the show as the aggressive, risk-taking pilot. His intense prep included spending weeks with Navy pilots, learning their lingo, their swagger, but also their fear. There's a standout moment where Dafoe's character faces a court-martial, and his eyes convey defiance and regret simultaneously. Danny Glover provides the moral compass, A senior officer burdened with orders he doesn't agree with. Each actor brought a raw, unfiltered intensity. They didn't act, they inhabited. That's why the film resonates, even if the audience didn't show up in droves. Legacy, Flight of the Intruder, belongs to a rare breed. A film that films history, not entertains. It's a time capsule of late Cold War naval aviation, but more importantly, it's a precursor to the complex war films of today, like Hurt Locker or /Zero Dark 30. It subverted the hero-villain binary, and it gave equal screen time to the psychological cost of combat. It's not perfect. The pacing can be dull, and the love subplot is extraneous, but its unapologetic realism paved the way for modern military cinema. Film historians now see it as a bridge between the cynical 70s war films and the digital age's realism. It matters because it didn't compromise, and that's its strength. So, Flight of the Intruder is not a forgotten failure. It's a misunderstood classic. It faced the storms of commercial cinema and emerged as a cult artifact. If you've never seen it, go in with patience, and you'll find a film that respects your intelligence. If you have, ask yourself, did you judge it too soon? Here's a question for the comments. What other films have similar fates, a box office disaster that time has vindicated? Let's discuss. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into cinema's hidden treasures. Remember, sometimes the best flights are the ones off the radar.